KLK1 2.5 FM. Good morning to you on your Monday. It's February 12th, 2024. This is Community Conversations. One is in the studio with you today, and joining us, as always, on the second Monday of the month, we have Mr. Shamal Carter, the president of the Craighead County chapter of the NAACP. He is going to give us some of the latest updates on what is going on with the NAACP, and he'll actually be back at the 10 o'clock hour to talk about a special voter registration event. So you definitely want to stay tuned the entire hour. So Shamal, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. So, all right. So what are the latest updates?
So we, as you guys know, we had been, the state and the NAACP have filed an injunction against the state for gerrymandering or redistricting. I'm sorry, said that wrong. And it got turned down. So we are having to appeal it to the Supreme Court now. The merit of it was not substantial. The evidence that they felt it wasn't substantial enough. So we're dealing with that side of things. We, of course, we're still in this fight for the AP African American History, the accreditation issue that we're having with the new Learns Act and this new administration on the state level. That's that's a big issue. The question is being posed around America: how can we teach American history or without African American history? How can we teach Arkansas history without teaching African American history? So that is something that we are very, very, very adamant about pushing for the agenda of getting answers to why. There's been 4 years that's went out all across the state for information in regarding to it, and we're just really digging to make sure that our kids remember our history and it doesn't get lost along the way.
I think that's very important with this being Black History Month, that our history is not forgotten, that it is not erased. So kind of going back just a little bit, you talked about the lawsuit that was filed and it was turned down. What was the grounds that you all were using to challenge the gerrymandering?
I just got on the Political Action Committee at the beginning of this year. I've just actually received the report that it was turned down. So I don't know the ground that it was filed on, but by the time I come back the next time, I'll be able to give you more insight on that.
Okay. And regarding the African American history, you mentioned some FOIAs was found and some. What seems to be the strategy, as much you can reveal on that, like to try to get some clarity on this, because currently the classes are being able to be taught, but they're not being able to get that AP credit for it.
Right. Well, first off, the grounds of this was that it offended some people. Teaching that history offended some people. So by filing these 4 years, it would be revealed on what that complaint was and how it was decided based off of one complaint or several complaints. And then the question again is posed: how can one group of people learn about something that happened and then another group of people's history be erased because it offends someone? What about the American Indian Revolution? I'm pretty sure that offends a lot of people, even when it comes to African American history or Chinese history. What if we taught Vietnam and the wars in school? What if we have people of other heritage or descent? We have to teach these things because this is history. So the question is, how does it correlate with everything that's going on today? Like, how can we balance this out? And the grounds is, how did it offend them? And how do you know that whatever you're taught in your history doesn't offend me?
And I think the thing to also remember that may be getting lost in all of this is that AP classes, they are all elective. These are not mandatory courses that you have to take to graduate. It's a choice, and to take them. And if you want to, you can. And if you don't, that's okay as well. So I think that has to be remembered in the context when we talk about these issues. So definitely want to stay on top of that. Now, what about on the local level? Are there any local issues that the local NAACP is kind of keeping an eye and a watch out for?
As of right now, none that I can reveal at the moment. But I will say we're paying close attention to uh, these judicial races. I can't support or oppose any opponent. But I can say we're paying close attention, and I know personally 3 people who are running for judicial seats. One as high as the state Supreme Court, and so we really, really need to pay attention. And even speaking on the state Supreme Court, we need to really pay attention to what's going on right now. There was an article released on last week, and this article pretty much broke down. There is an incumbent with her seat is not being challenged. What she's doing, she's running for the open seat. There's only one open seat, I believe. She's running for that open seat. If she wins that open seat, then the governor then appoints to her seat. All right. If she loses that other seat, she still gets to keep her current position on the state Supreme Court.
So you could have a potential situation to where, and of course, judicial races are nonpartisan, but if this person wins and Governor Sanders appoints a person, most likely Governor Sanders would appoint someone who would more likely lean conservative. Just as if we had a liberal governor would more likely appoint a liberal to that position. And of course, that could affect the ideological balance of the court. And of course, the Arkansas Supreme Court is taking on a greater importance. Over the last couple of years, there's been several cases to come before them in a variety of things. Some of the things you mentioned earlier, such as challenges to the Learns Act. I believe that was a challenge to 872, which is, I believe, the bill concerning the library. So it's like our Supreme Court is definitely taking a greater focus than in years past. And of course, that transitions to the next thing, the importance of people registering and to vote, because on the state of Arkansas, the Supreme Court positions are elected. And so you actually do have a say in who sits in those seats.
Right, right. And that's just something to keep in mind. Like I said, getting out to vote. If you don't have a ride to the polls, pick up the phone. I'll take off of work if I have to. I'll even skip, take my lunch early during the week for early voting to get you guys up there to vote. One thing that I've learned since I've been in the position that I've been in, and since I've been able to have a conversation about this, one thing I've learned is we do more complaining than we do putting action to what our issues are. We do more complaining. We complain about what's not right. Our son get arrested, but little did we know, because we didn't vote for whoever that legislator is, he's the one that put that egregious law into effect that is going to affect not only my children, but my children's children. Nobody takes that into consideration. So it is very important for us to get out and not only vote, but learn your candidates. Don't let me come out here and tell you, to vote for, anybody, because you can't take my word for it. You even go back to the word of God. You got to study to show yourself capable and to be approved of his word, to know what the next person is talking about. It's the same way when it comes to your freedom, when it comes to your legislators, when it comes to your community. It's up to you to decide, and it's up to you to make a move and be a leader in your community by vetting these candidates. Make sure you don't just see them one time a year.
And of course, it seems to be the biggest challenge when it comes to voter registration and voter education is overcoming voter apathy, overcoming the stigma that votes don't count, or they're going to put in who they want to put in, or it doesn't matter, or I don't have the time. How can that be overcome? I would love to know.
Well, we're fighting what we call the social media age. No matter, it's just like in life. You've done great things throughout your life, but if there's any negative thing that you've done in the last 20 or 30 years, they're going to look at that negative thing more than they are the positive that you've done within this community, within everything. it's the same way with this. There was a misconception of voting and how it comes about and how it takes place. And so we as a culture, we as a community, we as a state, we have taken on the negative side of it. I don't see how this is going to make a difference. I don't see by doing this how this is going to do what. That's irrelevant.
Well, and there's examples around us all the time of the importance of voting and the impact. The most recent one here in Craighead County was the reduction of the millage for the library, and I think in the city of Jonesboro, I think it may have been like I'm probably wrong, but I think honestly less than 100 votes that ultimately decided, and now. And again, I'm not saying whether you should have supported that or been against it, but I'm just saying what happened. Yep. And what ultimately happened was because this reduction passed, the library has cut their hours. There have been staff layoff. There have been the reduction in the number of services that have been offered. That is a real and tangible effect of what happened, and that was because voters ultimately decided on that. Now, if more people had voted, maybe it would have still been the same result, or maybe it would have been different. But again, basically, those that voted voiced their opinion, and the consequences affect those that did not vote as well.
I'll go back a few years ago when I ran for quorum court. My race was decided by 5 votes, but there wasn't even 150 people that voted. I think it was 67 to 62 or something like that. We just don't get, and there's in the district that we were running in, it's a whole lot bigger than 150 people.
So again, elections have consequences, both positive and negative. So what are some of the efforts that you can make us aware of voter registry? I know that's one we're going to talk about in the 10 o'clock hour, a big one coming up, but just kind of overall, what are some things? I know that the Deltas had a voter registration at the recent Soul Food dinner, but are there other things that are coming up as well? And, or if somebody wants to partner with the NAACP to host a voter registration drive?
So, one, I always have voter registration forms in my truck. So if you see Big Black coming through the town and you know somebody that needs to be registered, hey, just get with me. I'll help you fill it out. We have April 22nd and 23rd. There's a conference that I'm hosting. It's called Prevention Work Standing on Business. We'll have a voter registration table there. We will have a voter registration table. We'll have the forms at our meeting on the third Mondays. Of course, like you said, in collaboration with the Deltas, we did a voter registration at the Soul Food dinner, and then we have an event that's coming up on Thursday night. I believe we'll be doing voter registration there. The deadline has passed in order for you to register to vote in this March 5th election, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. I do believe my secretary told me that the other day. But we're still registering throughout the year. Of course, in partnership with Juneteenth, I do believe we'll do voter registration again with that. I think we've did that quite a few times in the past.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I can pretty much tell you, there will be voter registration forms at every Juneteenth event. Every single one of them. Or they can say you can get sick of seeing Shamon, but y'all will be all right.
But yeah, those are ones that we have already planned. Currently, along with our membership drive, we're working on adding more of those events along the way. And Candace is doing a wonderful job. Her and Miss Emma and Dr. Lonnie and I have the most amazing staff or executive board members that I could have ever asked for. They are amazing.
Okay, all right. So what about the Freedom Fund Gala? Is planning underway for that event?
Planning is underway. We actually and don't quote me on this, but there's a possibility that the state convention may be coming to Jonesboro this year.
Okay, that would be huge.
Yes, yeah. So we voted on it a couple years ago. Really didn't push the agenda last year because, as you know, our Freedom Fund Gala is always around the same time as the state convention. In the state convention, they host the state gala, along with the state convention. But we normally do about mid-September. When we meet again in March is when we'll get everything kicked off and rolling to kind of lock in a date, venues, and so on and so forth, speakers. So that is our focus now, trying to get information together. If there's an award that you guys think that we should give, if you would go ahead and give me that information and I can take it before my committee and we can figure out how we can do it. I think last year we added our Living Legends Award. And Miss Emma, if you know the impact that she's had on our community and the different things that she's done, I am a prime example of her planting a seed. She planted a seed about 3 years ago and told me what I was going to be. I didn't really have, it wasn't like, do you think you want to? 3 years ago, she planted a seed and she told me the type of leader that I would be. And I never would have thought I would have been what I am today. But she has played an intricate role in preparing me for advocating in the fight for civil injustice. So, but yeah, so we're working on getting those things. If you guys can think of any other recognition that we can give the community, because those who are working hard, we want to recognize you.
Absolutely. And of course, I just got to say +1 about Ms. Agnew. Ms. Agnew nominated me and Kelly K for the Arkansas Community Service Award in 2016. And that really helped put us on the map to get that state recognition, being recognized by the governor and being on statewide TV. We were a young station then, still fairly young now at 9, but I mean, we were young then. And so it really helped people take notice. So she planted a seed here at KLEK. So definitely shout out to Miss Agnew. And she's one of them type of people, she don't like when people sing her praises, but it's well deserved. All right, we got about a minute and a half left. Anything else that we did not touch on? Anything else that you wanted to go back over?
Just to touch right quick, April 22nd and 23rd, we will have a conference at location to be determined. The name of the conference is Preventing Works, Standing on Business in 2K24. We're fighting against the fentanyl epidemic, and we're fighting against overdose and suicide and mental health. That is the focus of this. I have a guy by the name of Earl Green, and we'll talk more about this closer to the event. A guy named Earl Green from New York. He's coming in. He's going to talk to us about diversity and equity and inclusion, and working with a diverse population. And we have Miss P.J. Yarbrough out of South Arkansas. That's Miss Latoya Yarbrough's cousin. So she's coming in and she's going to do a workshop with us. So we're just really excited. I'm hoping you guys can put that on your calendars, and I'm hoping we can all come together and make this conference a great event.
It's going to also sound like it's going to be a great event. Shamal, I want to thank you so much for joining us as always here in the studio. And of course, we welcome you back anytime. But don't go anywhere. Coming up at 9:30, we are going to have some guests talking about the Arkansas State University Living Legends event that's going to be February 24th. Then Shamal will be back at 10 o'clock along with Candace Evans. They're going to be talking about the NAACP and Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta voter participation event, and it's definitely going to be something that you don't want to miss. All right, we'll be back. This is Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. All right, my guy. Oh, I guess you can go grab you some coffee or a little bite. Yeah. Be back here at 10.